Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. So it's a kind of a windy day. We just had a big storm roll through, but it actually lowered the temperature a whole bunch, so it's actually kind of nice outside right now. And what I'm going to be showing you today is my awesome doomsday prep truck. So just to give you a little history on this truck, a few months back, first of all, it floods over here in Houston. I live in Houston, and it floods over here from time to time. Like my house flooded during Harvey, but it's the only time it's flooded. But anyway, the streets just like in Houston in general, it just starts flooding everywhere. And it's a little bit scary if you don't have a big vehicle that can go through a little bit of water, like just like a foot of water or whatever it ends up being. So I decided that I really needed a bigger vehicle for those occasions. And in case it rains, so I can like actually leave the house. So here it is. This is my 2018 Nissan Titan. And of course everybody's seen this thing a whole bunch, but what you haven't seen is a few of the upgrades that I did, like the solar. So let's check that out. So just to clarify, I bought all the stuff online on Amazon, actually everything I got on Amazon. I'm gonna put links in the on the screen because I don't know the names of all this stuff because, you know, I don't pay attention to that kind of stuff. But I'll show you the specs and I'll give a link to if anyone wants to buy it or at least see what I got. So here we go. Here you can see, let me get a good shot of it. This is 300 watts, 300 watt panels, 12 volts. They supply 12 volts, but 100 watts of power. And the way it's affixed is using, I can't remember the name of this stuff, but it's like it's actually meant to do repairs in like mobile homes and stuff. And I did kind of a bad job. Like I put these two on first, and I did a pretty good job with these. But when I did this one, I like did one corner first, and I forgot about the bend radius, so it started popping up at a couple spots. So like right here it's popping up, right here it's popping up. So I had to like reinforce it in some strange ways that I didn't like. But the whole point is it's waterproof. I've had this in very heavy rain. I've driven the car 6,000, 5,000 miles or something like that with all this stuff on here, and it's been flawless. It might not look all the best like from the top, but I can clean it up. Like you can just see like little parts where the tape is messing up and all that, but it's all above, so I wasn't too worried about it. But so how it connects, you can see the wires come off of the solar panels. Sorry, I'm on top of the truck, so struggling a little bit. Make sure I don't fall down and make some horrific video. It would actually be probably funny. But anyway, it goes into these I think these are 15 amp fuses. Each solar panel has a 15 amp fuse. And the way I wired this, like, you know, this is my my bug out vehicle, so I go for a lot of redundancy in the way this is wired. Like, I would like it so if one panel stops working, it's not going to affect anything else, and that's the way it is. So everything's kind of independent in a sense, and I'll show you how. So you can see it goes to this 100 amp fuse, and these are I bought these from BougeRV. And I don't remember the gauge on these, but these are pretty good. It's like, for example, on the gauging, this gauge of wire would be fine for all the panels together if I put them into like a combiner, so they all ran together. It would be fine, but again, I want redundancy and I want this to work. So I wired each panel with its own extension wires and its own fuse. So there's a fuse for this one, the fuse for this one, fuse for this one. whatever. They all have fuses. I think one of them's actually tucked in on the side. And they all come through and they run to the side here, as you can see. And yeah, here's one of the fuses. You can maybe see it in there. That's the third one. So they all come down here, and you can see it a little bit from the inside. So from the outside, just to clarify, from the outside, like when the doors are all closed, it's not super obvious. Like if you go to like a normal height, not that I was trying to hide any of this stuff, but I didn't want it to look like horrible. But you can see these things, and there's just no easy way I could come up with to conceal these, so I just didn't. Whatever. Like, yeah, there's solar panels on it. Like, it is what it is. And of course you can see the bubbling there from the panel being like pushed together. I can fix that, but I'm just too lazy, and it's really hot out right now, so I'll do it at some other point. Which brings us in here into my cap. So now I'm in here in the rear cap of the truck where all the wiring essentially goes. So here's a better look at that wire that goes inside, that runs along the back. And just to clarify, all those connections and everything, they're all waterproof. So there's no problem with anything getting wet, like the panels and all that. It's all perfectly fine. It's actually rated for like hail and all that good stuff. So it can stay on the top of the truck without any problems, like indefinitely. And just to clarify, that sealant stuff I have around the panels, it's made for, not for this application obviously, but it's made for, to create a waterproof seal like in a mobile home or something. So it works. It works, and I think it's a really good idea. There's other, I stole the idea from other people online, so it's not like it was my original idea. Okay, so if you look here, if you recall from one of the old videos, I didn't have anything like around this wire. I found these this like it's like a 1/8 inch like border type thing, and it's just meant to protect edges so they're not sharp. And I had to make the holes bigger to fit all these through here, so I just made it, I put those all around, so now the wires are not able to be damaged or anything, so it's all good now. So all the wires come in, 3 wires for each item, 3 negatives and 3 positives on the solar, and they come to, well, it's all wrapped up, but I'll show what it is on the screen. It's just these little I think 4 gauge to, or 8 gauge to 4 gauge. I don't know the gauges. I'll put it on the screen. But you can see these all combine down to 1 wire on the negative, and the same thing on the positive. You see it right here. All combining to 1 wire. And these 2 thick wires are what goes into the solar controller, which is right here. So this solar controller is made by EPEVER, and the reason why I went with this unit, this is rated for I think 50 amps, and of course me just running 300 watts of solar, that's like a peak of 20 something amps, 20 something whatever it is. And the reason why I over spec'd this a little bit is the heat. So it's hot in the car, it's hot, you know, we've had the heat wave. We've had a heat wave for a while, which is why I haven't made this video, because every time I come outside, it's like crazy hot, and I'm just like, no, I just go back inside. So with the rating on this thing, it like any electronics, it's derated as it gets hotter. So with the 50 amps and with the only 20, 30 that I'm running through it, it can run even hot. Like it can get up to past 60 degrees Celsius, which is like 130 or something like that. So it can go way, way hot. So it'll be fine in like basically any temperature that the back here gets to, even if it's running full power. And that's why I got one that was just a little bit beefier than what I needed. And I liked this one because it had heat sinks, no fans, no moving parts. And obviously these heat sinks are rated for 50 amps, which is like essentially double what I'm doing. So it's really good setup, and I feel like it'll be reliable. I'm not pushing it hard or anything. And of course this solar controller has a temperature wire which goes into the battery box to measure the temperature of the batteries to make sure they don't overheat or anything. And it can stop the charge or whatever if the batteries get too hot. But these batteries I'm using, of course, the lithium starting batteries that I love, and they can handle high heat as well. So everything here is like good in the heat, and I guess technically in the cold too, but heat is what I have to worry about here, and heat is horrible. So after the solar charge controller here, it's wired directly to the battery, and I do have a what is this called? Circuit breaker right here, 30 amp circuit breaker, and that's just in case it spiked or whatever, or if something touched the terminals. Like, I just put it there just to have it, and I put a switchable breaker just in case it gets tripped and I don't want it tripped, and I can just fix it. So anyway, that's how that works. And as you can see here in the box here, there's 3 lithium batteries. Let me see if I can lift it up a little bit to show you guys. So inside here, the battery box, you can see there's 3 lithium 12-volt batteries, and these are starting class batteries. I actually have one of the same batteries under the hood of this truck, so they're good for you know, 100 plus amps continuous. So out of the back here, I can flow like, you know, 300 amps, but I'm not going to do anything near that. Here I just have a 1000 watt pure sine wave inverter, so nothing like really major as far as power draw. But the main reason for going for the solar and all that was to power the refrigerator. So after I got my little refrigerator, which I'll show you guys in a second, and I wanted to keep it in the truck, and I wanted it to be on all the time. After we got back from the first trip, you know, I don't drive the truck all that often, so it was sitting there for like 3 or 4 days, and after like 4 or 5 days, it started dying a little bit. The fridge, you know, it doesn't take a whole bunch of electricity, but you know, just running for like 5-6 days in like extreme heat without any charge or whatever, it just, you know, it'll eventually just drain the batteries. So the solar, the goal with the solar was I can, you know, park the truck essentially anywhere. The refrigerator would continue to work. The batteries would stay charged up. I can use power. So it's just kind of like in case I'm camping or, you know, whatever the situation might arise, I have power that I can use. And also the side effect is my refrigerator stays running like all the time. I could park this thing, I can come back in like a year or 2 and the refrigerator would still be working and the batteries would still be full charge unless something horrible happened, which it shouldn't. So the point is, you never can really rely on having gas and all that, and so it's just an additional way of having some power. So I think it makes sense, but you know, I'm curious to see what everybody thinks of it, because I'm a little bit of a prepper myself, so I see the applications, and I know anybody else that does, that also would agree, but I could see a lot of other people saying that's like hella stupid. So I get it. If you think that, I get it, but you know, to each his own. And if you could see here, I have 2 cases of water here because it is, you know, my emergency preparation vehicle. And I showed most of this other stuff in a previous video, but I'll just go over it really quickly here. This is a Thor pure sine wave inverter, and there's 3 batteries in here, and I have these fuse blocks, and I'll link to all this stuff. And coming into the front of the car, I have this 4-aught. I think I figured out that's the name. That's how you say it. It's 4-aught wires that go all the way to the front of the car. And this is of course fused with a 100 amp fuse on each side. And 100 amps is like kind of low. You know, obviously, like I said, the system can do a whole lot more than 100 amps, but I didn't want to go like, I don't know, I just would rather have the fuse blow and I have a bunch of extra fuses and figure out why it blew, because I don't really have anything that's gonna draw that major power. I was kind of looking more for safety in that aspect, but you know, I do have the option. Like, I keep a lot of the extra parts in the vehicle, and that's also why like I bundled extra wire here. So I want it to be so, like, I don't want everything to be like so precise that if you have to change something and you don't have extra wire and stuff like that, you're screwed. Like, if I needed to start working on this in the middle of nowhere or something, I have like extra wire that I can use other places. Like, there's like some wiggle room to like make it work, and that was kind of the goal. If anyone knows, I'm sure a lot of people know what I'm talking about, because like when you overbuild something, you have like extra parts and stuff. Like I can borrow wire and all that to make to fix it or whatever might be the case. So anyway, that's it. Solar charge controller. batteries, inverter. That's all like a little self-contained package, and I like that it doesn't take up a whole lot of room in the truck. This is, of course, the battery box is mounted to the bed itself, so everything's secure. I mean, nothing's going anywhere. Like, I'm sure the truck could even roll over and it would all stay intact. So maybe not this, but yeah, I just have that bungee corded because I don't, it's not really going anywhere and it's pretty light. And the other thing I forgot to mention is this is how I monitor the voltage, and I love this. This is a Bluetooth battery monitor, and I have it just hooked up to the bus blocks here. I have one of these on every one of my cars actually, and I sell these things on my store. But it has like a really good range, and what it does is it monitors the 12 volt battery, and when you crank the car, here, let me just show you. So here is that how that little app works. It's so cool. Like, I absolutely love this thing. You can have different vehicles set up. Like, I have the Pilot. I have one in the Pilot also because I don't drive that very often, and I like with this, like, if you just go near the car, it downloads all the data and everything from it, and you can see historical data. It's so cool. You can see historical data on what the voltage did, like, the whole time. So you can see here, let me show you like a normal day where the car wasn't driven, and it's kind of cool. Yeah, like right here. So you can see, like, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 a.m., 8 a.m., and you can start seeing the voltage increasing, and that's because of the solar adding some voltage to it. So that's really cool. And then when the car's running, the car runs like at 14 point something volts. So that's what those little spikes are. But so when it's going low, you can see it. Here's a day that the car wasn't running at all, but you can see that the starting voltage at night was 3.3, and then the next night it was 3.3. So the solar keeps everything full. It's a little overkill on the number of I'm sweating like crazy. It's a little overkill on the number of panels and everything I have, but like I said, I wanted it even with the 300 watt panels, because they're laid out flat and not angled towards the sun. The max I've ever seen on it is at any given time was like 225 watts. So that kind of tells you there that they're not at their peak efficiency. You'll never see 300 watts out of them. I think probably 220, 230 is the highest you'll ever see, realistically, with them flat and just not in that great of a position to capture a lot of sunlight. But anyway, with this with the monitor here, I'm able to just like from inside the house, I can see what the voltage is and everything. And the other idea, the main reason I like this thing is if I'm camping or whatever the situation is and I have stuff plugged into the car and I'm not in the car, I need the ability to know what the battery's doing and know if it's getting low or whatever, so I can turn on the car or whatever I would need to do to get some more power. So let me take you guys inside and I'll show you how the solar charge controller works and all that, and my little fridge and how I have it all mounted and set up. And here is, just to show you where I'm looking, this is just the driver's side of the truck. And I just lift this seat up and put the fridge right here because I have my 2 kids, and it just works perfect for the fridge to go right here. So you can see it's at 40 degrees and it just runs like basically forever. I just keep this little USB fan just to have some airflow in the car. I don't know, just because it has a USB port and I have a fan, so I just plugged it in. You can see I got some cold waters and some Monsters and stuff in there. Check that out, ice cold, 40 degrees. Everything in here ice cold. You could even have frozen stuff in here. And even in the blazing heat when it's like, you know, 100 and something degrees, 105 out, I have ice cold water in my truck at all times. Even if it's not turned on, even if it's been parked for a week or a month or a year, it'll always have ice cold water. I mean, how damn cool is that? That's so cool. I love it. Anyway, that's that. And here under the hood, because I don't think I've showed all this stuff actually installed, you see I have this Victron Smart Battery Connect, and this is just basically I think it's like 200 amps maximum, but it just ensures that if my battery bank in the back gets too low, it will disconnect this battery at like, I think 13, I think I have it set for 13.05 volts. So if the system here drops below that voltage, it'll disconnect this battery to make sure I can always start the car. So that's just, and I wanted this because I don't want the systems to be separate, because I want it to be able to charge this battery as well, and I want to be able to discharge this battery as well, as part of the system. So I essentially have 4 batteries that I can use. Just this one is only like, you know, half a battery, maybe 3.5 batteries I have at my disposal for the battery bank functions. So this thing's really cool. I like that it does that, and it's all Bluetooth, and it's really easy to like set up on your phone and stuff. Super cool. And again, this right here is a LiLED 12 volt lithium battery. These batteries I think are around like 30 amp hours. I think 25, 30, something like that. And they do great. Yeah, see, it's 295 watt hours right there. They work really well. And essentially I like it because it's a lithium battery, meaning it's light and it can be cycled and all that. And it's like the only lithium battery that I really know of that is proven to be able to handle under hood stuff. And they're IP67 rated. They're like, they can go underwater, they can get wet. Like it's just like a good battery that, you know, for my application, like especially in the truck, like I'm like a prep thing, this battery is more likely to last a long time. Of course, the heat's going to kill it just like any other battery, but you know, it should last longer than obviously a normal battery, and be able to be cycled. So that's that. And of course, what this also does is since this is combined, it allows me to charge my back battery bank using the car's alternator, which it does do very well. This car, I think these trucks come with a 180 amp alternator or something like that, but it can charge up, like I've charged these batteries, the whole bank from dead, and it took like about an hour or so. So like on the freeway, so that's not bad. That's not bad. The whole point is that the car will charge the batteries as well, and that's, you know, that was part of the goal. So just to show you, it's overcast right now and I'm directly in the shade, so we're not gonna see really anything come out of the controller as far as what we're making right this moment. So I'm here in the truck, and I just wanted to show you the controller and just kind of how it works. As you can see right now, this is showing what it's doing. So right now the solar panel is at 14.2 volts or 1.2 amps, and my battery is at 13.4 volts, and it is putting 1.2 amps into the battery. 1.2 amps, which is not great, but you know, it's in the shade. And you can also see how that corresponds. Here's the photovoltaic, and you can see right here we're making 16 watts. Like I said, I've seen this go as high as 220 or so. So you know, when it's has good sun on it, it will actually do. Actually, I think we're about to get a little bit more sun, so we might get a little bit more wattage than that. But you can see here the controller's at 40.4 Celsius right now, which is hot. I think that's like I don't know what that is, but it's hot. And the other thing is so here's the batteries at 13.4. It's putting 1.2 amps into the battery right now, and it shows the battery temp, which is 33.5 Celsius. It only works in Celsius, which is a pain because my American brain doesn't think in Celsius, it thinks in Fahrenheit. So I've been trying to wrap my mind around it. It's not easy. But so yeah, that's basically it. Just for statistics on what this thing has done over the time, you can see here, so today I generated 0.4 kilowatt hours, and for the month I've generated a total of 11.7 kilowatt hours, and since I've had the system, it's been 16.08 kilowatt hours, which is a decent amount of power, considering, you know, this is just power on the top of my truck. Like, it's not you know, so it's like emergency power that I could use if I were camping, or if like the power went out or something like that. But like I said, one of my main obstacles was dealing with heat, because I'm here in Houston and it gets like crazy hot. Like, as you know, heat kills electronics, and when you want to have electronics that just sit in a car all day, where the temperatures can reach up to like 115, 120, it's a lot more of a challenge getting stuff that'll continue to work in those conditions. So that's kind of been my challenge. Like I would love to be able to use like a battle-born battery or something like that, because those batteries have a really good value, but it just wouldn't handle the heat. Like this heat, like being in the truck, it would destroy that battery. So that kind of sucks, but I think I have a pretty good solution. And I do like that it's a little bit more all-weather now, the way I have it. Like it can handle the heat, whereas a lot of other systems can't. So yeah, that's kind of why the way I did it, the reason why I did it the way I did. And so far I've been really happy with it. It charges the batteries really well. Like the system stays full pretty much all the time unless I just happen to drain it down doing something. I think if like with really good sun, it can generate about 100 amp hours of power a day, maybe a little bit, give or take a little bit. So given that my system is well over 100 amp hours, if the batteries are dead, it's not going to charge them all up in one day, which is not ideal. But the point is that it at least gives me some power. So if I'm stranded, somewhere, I'm out of gas, I at least have power. I have some water. I can run the fans. I can run my little AC. I can whatever it ends up being. Or if I'm camping, just basically gives a lot of extra possibilities for something else to happen, or some other options. Anyway, that's going to be it for now. I just wanted to kind of show this. This is a really quick overview of the system. If I install all the stuff myself, so if anyone has any suggestions, or if you say like, oh, you're an idiot, did this wrong, go ahead and tell me, because I'm not perfect, and this is not like, I figure out how to do stuff rather than like I'm not like a pro or something. But I do know what I'm doing for the most part. None of this stuff is hard. Anyway, thanks for watching. Of course, leave comments down below. Next video, I'll give an update on the Scat Pack. Some interesting updates on the Scat Pack, but I'll make that another video because it's kind of lengthy. And I also have some other stuff coming in for this truck. Like I have a Vicron battery monitor, which is super expensive, but I wanted to be able to monitor it more precisely and be able to get data and statistics. So I got that I'll put in. I have a automatic fan set up for the back, which is going to use a temperature controlled switch, relay switch, to turn on and off a fan in the back, just to kind of circulate the air in the back. Because one of the things I ran into from road tripping this thing. Oh, that's another thing. Let me show you guys this. This is going to be, you guys are going to trip. Okay. 26,108 miles. Oh my God, shut up. Oh my God. Okay, so 26,108 miles. You remember a video just like maybe a month or two ago where I bought this car and it had 18,000 miles on it. So within just a couple of months, we road tripped the hell out of this thing and we drove it a whole bunch. And I gotta say, I think this Nissan is awesome. So a lot of the anti-Nissan haters out there, I don't see any problems with this. I drove this lifted truck with this cap and everything for, thousands of miles all across the country. And I actually got about 17 miles per gallon, and it just 17, 18 miles per gallon, and it just ran, it was flawless. I mean, not that you would expect it to be anything but that, but it rides really nice and everything. It's really good. So I'm pretty happy with it. And yeah, I'm glad I went with it, because I was a little nervous about my purchase for a little bit. So anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to leave comments below. Peace.
Push the gas, escalate the gauges, escalate hits on the cam.